everybody, Tekking101 here, and in today's video we will be discussing the ultimate matriarch of the Yonko. I am of course referring to Big Mom, Charlotte Linlin, or Rinrin, you know, because, you know, L's and R's are kind of screwy in Japanese translations. Big Mom was actually the last of the Yonko to be mentioned by name. I remember for a while there we had no idea what the fourth Yonko was all about, or even what, you know, their name was, and then Eustace Kid mentioned all of them at the end of Marineford. He was kind of like giving this really big speech to his crew, like, Whitebeard, Red Hair, Kaido, Big Mom, they're the ones that rule the new ocean, you know, so kind of like setting the stage for what was to come. Oh man, I don't even know where to begin with her. We're in her arc right now. We're in Totto Land. We're in her territory right now in the story. She is the big bad. She is the villain that's looming over Luffy and Nami and all the other Straw Hats that are on her islands right now. Also, though, I should mention, though, before we get into it, that I don't feel like this arc that we're in right now, even though it's in her territory, is going to be like the last we're going to see of her. Because we're already halfway through this arc. We only have maybe between 25 to 30 chapters left. I don't think it's going to be like Big Mom's going to be utterly defeated at the end of this arc, and then we're never going to encounter her again. Now, she's going to pop up again, but for right now, I think it's mostly just a setup to see how terrifying it is for an enemy later on down the line that the Straw Hats are eventually going to have to overcome in earnest, you know, all together. But yeah, so I don't even, like, there's so many things to cover with her. You got her devil fruit, you got her kingdom, you got her family. Each one of these probably deserves a discussion video in and of itself. But let's start with her kingdom to see everything that she has going for her. Well, first off, just by looking at her, you can tell two things. Number one, she likes the fucking chocolate. And number two, she has sort of like an Alice in Wonderland fairy tale vibe about her, kind of like Queen of Hearts. You know, you ever watch Alice in Wonderland, Queen of Hearts? Okay, Big Mom's the Queen of Hearts. It's not fucking hard to understand. She also has like a Candyland thing all mixed in with that, because her kingdom, also known as Totto Land, are a series of islands organized like circles, you know, with her base of operation, Whole Cake Island, being in the center, and then like a bunch of other islands dotting out, radiating outward. I think there's about 36 of them in total, and each one of them is based on a different type of confectionery or sweet or food stuff. You know, there's Cacao Island, there's Biscuit Island, there's Nut Island, there's Jelly Island, and then of course you have Whole Cake Island, which is where she has her city, Sweet City, and her castle where she resides. Now, this is really important to mention because look at all the other Yonko. I mentioned in my Shanks video how Shanks was so terrifying as a Yonko because he has such a small crew, you know, and Whitebeard, he had a little bit bigger crew. He had more than one ship. He had like a fleet that he could call on whenever he wanted. He had like different commanders. Blackbeard is kind of the same thing. He has a bunch of ships and a bunch of commanders. Kaido, we don't really know the full layout of his crew yet, especially since Kaido is heavily involved in Wano Kuni. We don't know how many people are, you know, allying with him there. Maybe he has an entire kingdom under his disposal as well. We know for a fact there's about 100 of his crew members that have powers of the Smile, Devil Fruit, the Gifters. But I'm going to say right now, from the information we have, Big Mom has the largest reach and crew, and just sheer manpower out of all of the Yonko, because she doesn't just have a pirate crew, she doesn't just have an army, she has a goddamn country, and she is the queen of said country. Now, part of the reason why this kingdom works, that she has such a firm iron grip on it, is because of her strong family ties, okay? Big Mom, as Brooke stated, is a big mom in every sense of the word. Number one, she thick, and number two, she has a huge family. She has a bunch of children that basically are in charge of each one of her islands as ministers, you know, or chancellors, you know, like the chancellor of Cacao Island was like the chancellor of chocolate, and we have like the chancellor of biscuits or whatever the fuck. Now, what she does, and this is kind of disgusting, but this is, I mean, Oda doesn't come out and say this, but it's very hinted at. He's not as crass as I'm probably gonna put it. But she goes out and fucks a bunch of guys, and then has kids with them, and then kind of just banishes the baby daddy to the furthest corners of her island, or just kills them or kicks them off or whatever. And then her children grow up under her rule, you know, as their mother, and they're basically as loyal as they can to her. If they're not loyal, then, you know, the bad shit's going to happen. Even when one is killed right in front of them, which does happen. She killed her 16th son Musket once during one of her sweet rage moments. We'll get to that in a second. But she killed one of her own children, and her other children were around looking at that, and they're just like, well, don't really agree with this, but can't really do anything about it because she's so freaky strong. And so that's one of the big deals there, is that they're actually her children, which is why they're so, like, steadfastly loyal to her, to a fault to some degrees. Now, she does have her own pirate crew. They're not all parts of her family, although they mix and match. Like, there's members of her family that also function as the pirates, like Cracker and Smoothie, but then you have other members of her crew, like Peckoms. We know Peckoms was born on Zoe. She's not a member of her family. Tamago's probably not. He was a member of the Long Leg tribe, as well as other pirate crews that are allied with her, very similar to Whitebeard, such as the Fire Tank Pirates. The Fire Tank Pirates, led by Capone Beige, are allied with the Big Mom Pirates. And in that case, how she actually cements those connections, it's not just like a blood pact. Well, I guess it is sort of like a blood pact, more of a semen pact. Anyway, she either arranges a marriage between one of her children and the crew that she's trying to ally with, and like with Beige and Chiffon, which I believe is her 17th daughter, they arranged a marriage there. They consummated that. They had a kid, and now the Fire Tank Pirates are kind of like permanently a part of the Big Mom Pirates. Like, they could probably never really even attempt to betray her because it wouldn't end well. They're pretty much cemented in as her crew now. So that's how she does it, essentially, which is just a more firm way to go about it. Her goal, by the way, for this country, it's a little bit more steeped in some darker ideas in the behind the scenes, but the general idea, what she states, what she wants to do with her kingdom, is she wants to set up the perfect country where people from all different races can come and not worry about discrimination in any way. Like I said, on the surface, that sounds really fucking cool, but on the other end, Queen of Hearts. So off with her head's not going to go very well. And we can see there's like cracks in this. Like Judgy brings up like, oh, you're talking about how you want all these races of the world to be, together on this island. And sure enough, there's a bunch of different races on the island. There's fishmen, there's mermen, there's long leg and long arm tribe members, there's minks on the island. But there's one race that is particularly not on this island, and it's giants. And whenever Judgy brought that up to Big Mom, she's just like strikes this glare, like, oh, god damn, the giant. You must just not have seen them. Anyway, let's move on. So, there's some cracks going on here. Even more freaky when you realize that the reason why Caesar was doing his gigantic children experiments, the reason he was trying to make these kids huge, was because Big Mom's fucked up sort of ideals are like, everybody should sit around the table at eye level. So, Caesar, go and deform these children to make them large so that everybody can stare at each other, even eye level around the table. Like, what the fuck, bitch? Damn! You're killing these children! Even Caesar admits, like, this is impossible. Like, these kids are probably gonna die, but alright, whatever. I'm actually really interested into seeing what Caesar's gonna do this arc. I am really amused by him. I hated him during Punk Hazard, but he's kind of in hot water right now, and I'm seeing how he climbs his way out of this. So yeah, that's her kingdom. She also has an iron rule over it due to her devil fruit ability, and it's one of those devil fruits that whenever you find out about it, be like, okay, that's OP as fuck. Her devil fruit is the soul fruit, and it has qualities that are very similar to both Brook's Yomi Yomi and Moria's Kage Kage no Mi. So basically, she's able to divide out parts of her soul, kind of like Stark from Bleach. There's a reference. And she could do this in a number of ways. She can take parts of her soul out and she can put it in an inanimate object, in which case when she does that, she will basically have an entire group of homies, she calls them, that are like cheery little happy sun. I don't even know how the fuck to describe them. Like, see that umbrella there? That's a homie. Her hat is a homie. And they're extensions of her soul, so they're not capable of defying her or anything like that only under very certain circumstances. But they also have their own personalities as well. Like when she was going around destroying the city, they were kind of like trying to stop her or trying to tell her to stop. So we don't exactly know how this whole thing works. I guess they're given their own consciousness and their own thoughts, like they can think without being told by Big Mom. Like Randolph, for instance, is a rabbit homie, just a normal rabbit, I guess, that was given the soul power. and he has his own personality, and he can think, and he can fight. He doesn't have to be, like, controlled by Big Mom. So it's very similar to the Kage no Mi, how you take out a shadow and then pop it in to somebody else. Although in that case, the shadow, the zombie took its traits and its personality from the person the shadow was from. In this case, it develops its own personality. Like, Randolph's personality and the other homies are not the same as Big Mom's personality. You know what I mean? So it's like they develop their own consciousness, and that's a pretty crazy ability. Similar also to the Kage no Mi, she can actually make her own soul into its own entity called incarnations. So her own incarnations take the forms of these black blob things that go around and basically enforce one of the rules in Totto Land, which is, I think, Treat or Life, it was called, which is basically like, you have to, in order to keep the people in the island, I guess, they take certain parts of their soul out, which is basically indicative of lifespan. She can suck out your lifespan. So this is like the third OP ability. She has the ability to create, she has the ability to give consciousness to things that don't live. She has the ability to give rabbits the ability to be fucking kung fu masters. And she has the ability to literally rip out years out of a person's life in terms of their soul. That's how she kills her own son, Musket. She just rips out 40 years of his life and he just drops dead. She also did this to Pedro, ripped out 50 years of his life, so he's not going to be long for this world either. And we still don't know the full extent of what she can do with her ability, because we've yet to see her, you know, like, we saw her fight when she was, like, in her fit of rage, but we never actually saw how she fights without being in that fit of rage, you know, how she does that. So, we don't know if there's a limitation to that, like, all she has to do is just walk up to somebody and then rip out their fucking soul and then die. I mean, if that was the case, I can understand why you would be scared of her, but I don't exactly know how you can fight someone like that, if they can just rip out years like that. But yeah, also there's a connection to Brook's Devil Fruit, the Yomi Yomi no Mi, which is also deals with soul power, because he is, of course, the Soul King. Any one of the homies that has Big Mom's soul in them, driving them, that's, like, not their original soul, and they're, like, an inanimate body without a soul, so Brook is able to kind of, like, you know, knock out the homies because his soul is, like, super powerful or something like that. You know, like, there's some stuff going on here, but basically what it comes down to is a soul in a body that is not its original body is not as strong. That's basically the general premise here. They can also be defeated if they have if somebody has a Vivara card of Big Mom. A Vivara card normally is just a piece of life paper. You know, you usually take parts of your body, like fingernails, I think it is, and you make this piece of paper, and it just tells you where the person is. But because Big Mom has the whole soul fruit thing, it takes on a completely different thing. Any Vivara card that Big Mom creates is like directly has like emanating power of her own body, of her own soul. And the homies are incapable of attacking someone that has it. In fact, they actually have to listen to the person, as we saw with Nami and King Bomb. Nami had the Vivara card, and she was able to boss around other members of Big Mom's own, you know, her entourage, her homies, even though they didn't really want to do that. So it's a pretty imposing Devil Fruit power. We still don't know everything about it, but that's another reason why she keeps such a strong grip on her country. What else? Okay, well, let's just talk about their top members of her family, I guess I should say. So her first son is Sparrow, who had the Lick fruit, who can turn things into candy, basically. Her 10th son is Cracker, who was defeated by Luffy. She also had another son that was a general. She has like the 3 sweet generals. Cracker, I believe, is one of them, and Smoothie was another one. Smoothie is one of her daughters, I think her 14th daughter. And there was another one that was defeated by a Rouge, and we still don't know the whole deal with that, but she was, you know, defeated by another commander was defeated by a Rouge. She does not stand for any one of her children being defeated in combat. If any one of her children are defeated, she just sends out the entire army to fucking decimate them. We saw this when Luffy took out Cracker. I don't even think Luffy killed Cracker. He just defeated him. And Big Mom sends the entire army, and she has just so many people working under her. It's insane. We have Bobbin, who's like the swordsman. We have this Montador, who can control books and like can send people into the book realm. You know, we have this Opera, is like this giant giant blob of, like, whipped cream that he can shoot at people. So she has a ridiculously strong amount of pirates and her family member alike on her crew. In fact, it was even mentioned, like, when the entire army of, like, Bobbin and DeMonte and everything were marching, and Opera were marching toward Luffy, they were like, oh my god, the number of the bounties on all these people added up is, like, higher than I can even count. Smoothies and Crackers bounty alone is just south of 1 billion. So, pretty damn impressive there, I must say. There was something else I really wanted to mention. There's so much to cover with Big Mom. I really should have written this down. It'll probably come to me at some point. Anyway, right now, though, Big Mom is trying to get her hands on the poneglyphs. She's trying to make her poneglyph collection complete. She's trying to get her hands on the road poneglyphs so she can find Raftel and become king of the pirates, or I guess queen of the pirates in this case. I bring this up because not every pirate wants to become king of the pirates. You know, Shanks, I don't think, has that desire. Whitebeard didn't really have that desire. Kaido probably does, and Big Mom probably does. Big Mom is in the possession of one road poneglyph that Jinbei gave her, as well as 2 of the normal poneglyphs, and so that's one of the reasons why Luffy and the gang are there. Aside from, you know, rescuing Sanji, they also want to get their hands on one of the road poneglyphs, and it was mentioned at one point that she could have actually become way stronger than any of the other Yonko, and it all hinged on Lola's marriage with an unidentified man. We don't know yet. But Lola, from the Thriller Bark arc, you know, she was the 16th daughter of Big Mom, and she was supposed to wed somebody, and we don't know who that was, but whoever it was, I'm thinking it was maybe somebody really high up in, like, the government or something, because Big Mom was saying shit like, if only your marriage would have gone through, it doesn't matter if it was Red Hair or Whitebeard or Kaido, I would have been stronger than all 3 of them if this marriage went through, if I had this connection in my entourage, but it never came to pass. So whoever it was must have been pretty goddamn high up, you know, must have been beyond, like, even the Yonko or the Warlords or something. It must have been something crazy there. We don't know. We don't really know much from Lola either, because Lola didn't really give us a lot of information. All she did was, she gave Nami the Vivre card and was like, if you're ever in trouble, then, you know, just let my mom know. So there's something else, because Lola's a good person. Lola wouldn't have sent Nami to be like, oh, by the way, stay away from my mom. She's a pirate and she will kill you and she's a Yonko. No, she's like, no, my mom will probably help. Let her know that I'm okay. So there's something going on there where Lola doesn't think that she did something wrong, but Big Mom is, like, pissed at her. So yeah, pretty goddamn imposing there. She doesn't care about whatever island she trashes as long as they produce sweets for her. Like Fishman Island, she was all ready to destroy them, you know, when they didn't have their sweets after the whole incident with Hody Jones. They didn't have the sweets. That's when Luffy got on her bad side. You know, Luffy gets on the Den Den Mushi like, I ate all your sweets. Fuck you, bitch. Oh, by the way, you know who else is a bitch? This bitch. But that's something else for another video. God, yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to discuss with her. Damn it. What was it? Let's see. We went over... Was it about her kids? I feel like it was. Because we have her kids and her pirate crew. No, that's not a big deal. Her pirate crew. Kind of already talked about that. Aspirations to become pirate queen. Soul fruit. Ah, damn. What was it? Oh, yeah, okay, it was another aspect of her homies. It was Prometheus and Zeus, that's what it was. So, amongst her homies, she has 2 very in particular ones that have the ability to control the weather, and they're just as cartoony as the other ones. Like, Prometheus is like a cartoon sun, and he's all happy, and Zeus is like a cartoon storm cloud with like a little, like, a baseball cap on. But I guess, I don't know how she made those. I don't know. Maybe she just, you know, like, took a fragment of the sun's energy and made a homie out of that. I don't know, but anyway, she's able to literally control the elements herself when she gets pissed enough. And that, so I like that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, there's no way this arc is going to be the last arc with Big Mom. You know what I mean? There's not going to be it. It's going to continue onward. This arc is going to go down. You know, Luffy and the gang, they're going to crash the wedding. There's probably going to be a falling out between the Vine Smoke family and Big Mom, and they're going to rescue Sanji, and they're going to get the fuck out of her island. And the Vine Smoke family is probably going to be decimated at the end of it, because just in general, you need Judgy and everyone to pay for what they did to Sanji. You know, from just righteous justice there. But this isn't going to be the end of Big Mom. Big Mom's going to show up later, and we're going to have like a better scope of her crew and her family now that we know that. And the last thing I want to talk about is her fits of rage that she goes into. Okay, I don't know if this is going to play a big part later in the story, it might, but whenever she's craving a very particular type of sweet or food or confectionery or whatever it was, excuse me, she goes into this murderous rage where she goes and just devours her entire island. This is in this rage, she killed her own fucking son when she was in this. Also, it's important to mention that even though they are her children, she doesn't she's not I don't want to say she doesn't care about them, because I guess she does. She cares about them more as assets to her and her agenda rather than she does that they're her actual children. I guess I should say that. But anyway, yeah, she kills her child doing that. You can see Prometheus and Zeus right there, actually, and she can only be satiated when one of her, when she's actually fed a meal that she's craving. So some sort of eating disorder she has there. There's a lot of shit going on with Big Mom. Way more than with Whitebeard or Shanks so far. Hers is probably the most complex of the setup, probably going to be the most complex devil fruit power, probably going to be the most complex, the kingdom and everything, how Totto Land is set up. I mean, she made it very far, so it's very clear how you can look at her. Like with Shanks, like I said, he only has that one ship and that one crew, so at first glance, you'd look at Shanks and you'd be like, he's one of the strongest 4 in the world, really? But then you look at Big Mom, and there's no fucking question why she's one of the strongest, right? She even had Jinbei on her crew at one point, and Jinbei had to leave, because of his own shit. But she's extremely powerful, and she shall not be trifled with, and she is going to do a lot more shit coming up in the story. So let this be nothing more of just a prelude to what she can rot. Yeah, that's pretty much, I think, everything I wanted to talk about with Big Mom. A lot of stuff to discuss with her. So, post below on anything else, any other discussions maybe you can have down there. I'll try to keep it up to date if I can, on, where Big Mom's going to go from here, how this arc's going to fish out, how's the whole thing's going to go with Pudding and Sanji's wedding. Is Luffy going to ever confront Big Mom in this arc, or maybe possibly later in the story? Is it going to be a straight-on fight between Luffy and Big Mom? I don't know, but I think it's going to be mostly Big Mom now, and the general theory is that somehow Kaido and Big Mom are going to have to, they're going to fight each other, and they're kind of going to, distract each other because, that's the only way they could possibly be taken out, but we'll see. If there's any of the other Yonko right now that might have a crew that's big enough to actually contend with Big Mom, I would say it's probably Kaido, just because Kaido we don't know a lot about his crew yet. We don't know how much he has influence over Wano Kuni. Maybe he has a shit ton of 1,000 samurai warriors at his beck and call in Wano Kuni. I don't fucking know. But we'll find out soon. Oh, by the way, speaking of Kaido, next time. Later.